George McKee flew with my dad in combat in Vietnam and other places as well in the 365 as a helicopter Marine crew chief. They were best friends, and he came last year, and this year he drove 6.5 hours. He is driving back tonight because he has family commitments, and he has set out all this material to display because he loved my dad so much. And I just wanted to bring George McKee up just to say a couple words about my dad.
Boy, it's hard to say. Do a couple of words about Dennis Cooper. Dennis Cooper was a fantastic person. I wish each and every one of you in here had an opportunity to actually get to know the man. He would walk 100 miles to play a joke on someone. And someone asked me tonight, can you tell me the best joke he ever played on you? I said, Cooper was smart. He would never play a joke on me because he knew that I would get him back twice as bad. But we had a love relationship. I would love to be able to tell you the story. Is everybody in a hurry to get home, or can I have 5 minutes? I want to share with you why Dennis Cooper was in the situation that he was in, that the VA refused to acknowledge. I'll tell you what happened to Dennis Cooper. We was on a regular flight out of Villegas training facility over back onto the ship, the USS Iwo Jima. Cooper was in one of the aircraft. It was full of Marines. As a matter of fact, it was a reinforced Marine platoon. If you don't know what that means that they had a mortar with them, a couple of machine guns, extra weight, in other words. The aircraft landed on the carrier deck, not to the liking of the LSO, the person doing the directions. So they asked the pilot to pick it up and move it over a bit. I don't know if you've had any experience with carriers, but it's a ship. It's going up and down all the time that it's cruising through the waters. He picked up the aircraft, went to move over, and whether it was a gust of wind or whether it was the seas, who knows? The carrier deck missed his left gear. And the aircraft, you see pictures of it. The aircraft went over the side. It had 11 Marines in it, Dennis Cooper, pilot and co-pilot. We lost 11 Marines in that. The aircraft went all the way to the bottom of the ocean, about 80 feet, with Cooper in it. So I'm going to now tell you what Cooper told me. He said, Mac, as soon as we went over, I knew we was in trouble. And I'd relied on my experience and my training to get me through it, which was to put my hand on my safety belt, and as soon as we hit and everything stabilized, open it up and swim away. Unfortunately, as he tried to pull it away, the seas was pulling up against that belt buckle, and he couldn't get it loose. No matter how much he tried, he couldn't get loose. And the aircraft was sinking the entire time. And he acknowledged that the Marines inside there were swimming around and kicking inside the helicopter. So he took leave of his senses and just relaxed. And when he relaxed, the seatbelt was able to be opened up. And he was actually able to extract himself from the seatbelt, but he was still inside the aircraft. He needed air bad. And he knew that there were air pockets that form inside a helicopter. What he thought was an air pocket, and he put his nose up into it and took a deep breath. But it wasn't air. It was salt water. So he thought to himself, this is it. I'm out of here. It's time for me to go. So he relaxed again. And when he relaxed, the sea coming through the helicopter actually pushed him over to a window. Once he found that window, he started trying to crawl through the window. But his life vest, you'll see it out there on the table, the orange thing, was caught on the inside of the window. He couldn't get loose. So once more, he said, "This is it. I'm out of here. There's nothing else I can do. I'm a goner." So he relaxed again. And the seas pushed him through the window. The seas pushed him through the window. Once he realized he was outside the helicopter, the Mae West he was wearing has two inflatable sides on it that are inflated with CO2 cartridges. Pulled one side, and nothing happened. It didn't inflate. So once more he said, "This is it. I'm out of here. I'm goner." He said, "Well, I'm going to do one more thing." And he reached over and he pulled the other one. It inflated. Once he realized it was inflating, that it was pulling him up, he again relaxed, knowing that he was on the way to the surface. Unfortunately, he was breathing the entire time. Fresh mountain air is what he was explained to me he was breathing. Well, we know he wasn't breathing, don't we? His head popped to the surface, and there was a Navy SEAL there waiting for him. Cooper took a big, deep breath, and it burned his lungs so badly that he pushed his face back down into the water and started breathing the seawater again. That's when the Navy SEAL grabbed him by the head and pulled him into the boat and got him into sick bay. He was one of the ones that lived. He had blood coming from his eyes, his nose, his ears. He was a total wreck after that. But the VA refuses to believe him. They refused to believe him. Unfortunately, we have other veterans that are in the same situation. The VA is not doing their part in doing everything that they promised. That's why this organization is so important. Because as the last resort that some of these guys have to realize some of the things that they really wanted to do in life is fleeting away. And without organizations like this to help them, they're not going to get that reprise. Thank you.